I'm actually now a Department of Defense contractor as a transition assistance advisor. Been with the contractor I work for is located in Texas, but I'm one of 64 transition assistance advisors throughout the 54 states and territories. We have 2 of us here in Pennsylvania because of our size. It's all based on the size of your military force in the state. So California, Texas, the other big states also have 2 transition assistance advisors. So where do we go? As they're coming home from overseas, they've been gone from their loved ones for a while. The program that I had developed was a reception. Once they hit the States, they'll go through a demobilization site, normally Fort Dix, New Jersey, or what's now called Joint Base McGuire-Dix, because it's a Joint Army Air Base now. We've had service members return through Fort Bragg all over the place, but specifically worked at these demobilization sites to tell them what steps they're going to be going through. And I'm not going to talk about all those steps, but one specifically, and that's talking about their medical. So most of my job right now is working with Wounded Warriors, but not as a non-profit providing a service. I work with them as far as helping them get from point A to point B. The VA system is a cumbersome system to work through at times. I know I had to go through it for 6 months when I was applying for my disability from the service. So there's different avenues we walk them through. But as they hit the demobilization site, we tell them, first off, what their follow-on medical benefits are. The government has said, okay, you have given your time in service, we're going to provide you with 6 months of health care through a program called TRICARE. It's a government system. It's similar to Medicare for the older personnel, older Pennsylvanians, I was getting ready to say. But nonetheless, medical benefits that they get for 6 months. But the big thing I emphasize is I don't want you leaving the demobilization site if you are broken in any way. In other words, if you had a strained knee, you have a sore back, heaven forbid you got shrapnel, depending on what the mission was, we encourage them to stay on the active duty order to get taken care of. And that's what I do. I work one-on-one with them when they come home to demobilization sites. Let them know, look, if you come home, yes, you're going to have medical benefits. They'll take care of you medically. But guess what? What happens if you can't go back to your civilian job? Who's going to pay those monthly bills? Because once you come off of a active duty order, Uncle Sam has been paying you for the last 12 to 14 months. Now that order ends, you have no more income. Yes, we will give you medical benefits, but are you going to be able to go back to your civilian job? And I'm sure their civilian employer is not going to want to pay for their medical, or for them to be off when the injury they had sustained an injury on active duty. So it is very difficult. We are in the National Guard and the Reserve component different from the active duty, because when active duty soldiers come back, they come back to a regular military base. They have all the services and everything right there on base. Come back to Pennsylvania, and we don't have an active duty base here in Pennsylvania anymore. We have Carlisle Barracks, that's a school, but the closest military installation we have would be Fort Meade, Maryland, or Aberdeen Proving Grounds in Maryland, or Joint Base McGuire-Dix in New Jersey. So it's more difficult to receive services when you come back to the state. So yes, from that point, we get them, once they come back to Pennsylvania, they have some issues. I work very closely with all VA medical centers here in the state of Pennsylvania. But all of you realize that we have 8 VA medical centers here in the state of Pennsylvania. We have close to 1 million veterans. We just dropped under 1 million after the last census. A lot of veterans here in Pennsylvania. A lot of us that were proud to serve and continue to serve in some capacity. working closely with what we call OEF, Operation Enduring Freedom, or Operation Iraqi Freedom, coordinators at each of the VA medical centers. These coordinators work specifically with our new veterans. Our service members coming home have a specific person or office that they go to for assistance. They don't have to go through the VA enrollment process and all that. We take care of that when they arrive at their demobilization center. So we are trying to direct them to their care that they need once they come home. And follow-up is the hardest. Just to share with you one case I was just working last week. A former Marine was deployed 2003, 2004. Left the Marine Corps, came back to Pennsylvania. He was from Pennsylvania, the Johnstown area, and joined the National Guard. Now he's having some medical issues that occurred while he was deployed back in 2003. So we're trying to get his Marine Corps records, medical records, get them to the VA, and make sure that we can get him the medical care that he needs. So each situation we deal with is different and unique. But what I like the most is being at home, calling our service members our own, and working with local organizations. Those that want to, I just got a call from a VFW auxiliary in Hummelstown, said, hey, we're doing a fundraiser. We'd like a name of one of your Wounded Warriors that's still in Title 10 that we would like to present a quilt or maybe even give them a monetary gift. So we actually have 96 soldiers from the Army National Guard that are still on active duty orders away from home. So their families are back here in Pennsylvania. They're receiving medical care down in the DC area, Fort Belvoir, Virginia, West Point, travel to West Point, travel to Massachusetts, Porterville, New York. So it's not an 8 to 4:30 job. There's a lot of weekend work. There's a lot of time on the road, as my family knows. But it's sitting down one-on-one and working with each service member's transition. So it is rewarding, but we just had 11 in the 928th Finance Detachment had returned recently. I was actually out at Camp Atterbury, Indiana when they came home. Actually, one of their soldiers is one of our Wounded Warriors. She had female. She had injured her hip while she was deployed, so I encouraged her to stay on active duty even though she has a little 4-year-old at home, and her husband's taking care of them. That's why I nominated her for the VFW Ladies Auxiliary, because the father, the spouse, is taking care of the little one, and of course their expenses are adding up for child care. So those little things really mean a lot. I just wanted to give you an overview. Steve Liu talked to you here about the Wounded Warrior, the Army Wounded Warrior program. Specific federal program that deals with veterans coming back that are rated at 30% or higher disability. So his program was up here as far as disability. I closed the gap from all wounded, ill, and injured up to the 30% level. Once they get to that level, they need specialized care, and that's when I call on other organizations. The Wounded Warrior Project is a nonprofit organization that raises a lot of money and provides help to mostly caregivers, those that are family members that are supporting service members. I'm not a subject matter expert in any one area. We build a coalition with anywhere from the local VA, state VA rep works in the courthouse. Each county has a state VA rep. Work closely with the state Veterans Office at Fort Indian Town Gap, and with all the federal programs, kind of bring everything together down to the state level. So it's a challenge each day, but very rewarding too. So, what are your questions of me at this point?